When she comes out of soccer practice later that day, Katie finds a message on her phone. Hey there, Soccer Girl 144. Leo the Lion here. Looks strange, I know. Thanks for the talk. It was fun. Want to do it again sometime? Yes, I do, she thinks. But not yet. She goes home, puts on some music, and starts making a salad. She's thinking of how to reply when she hears the phone. It's Belinda. It's so unfair, Belinda says. Mike thinks I was with Leon the same time as him. He thinks Leon's the reason why we're not together. But Leon wasn't here last week. We only met him on Monday. Why don't you just call Mike and tell him? Katie says. The room's a little hot all of a sudden. You think I'm not trying, Belinda says. He won't answer the phone. I wish I could do something, Katie says. The thing is, Belinda replies, I don't understand why he thinks that. We were just eating lunch, right? It's strange. Katie doesn't want to lie about anything. Breaking up Belinda and Leon is one thing, but friends should never lie to each other. Why would he think that? Belinda says, almost to herself. Okay, here goes, Katie thinks. Mike asked me about it, she says. Did he? Belinda says. What did you say? Well, nothing really, Katie says. Again, that was kind of true. There's nothing to say, Belinda says. Of course, I know that. You're sure? No, I mean yes. I mean Mike's like, who's this? And I'm like, oh, that's Leon. He plays basketball. You told him Leon plays basketball? Leon does play basketball. Then what? I'm not sure I can remember now, Katie says. I mean, I can't remember the words I used. Did he ask you when we met? Belinda asks. When you met? Why ask me? Again, not a lie. Her phone makes a ping sound. She has a new message. I don't know, Katie, Belinda says. She sounds tired. I guess I kind of like Leon. Right, Katie says. But she's not really listening. The message is from Leon. Are you around? It says. Maybe, Katie writes. Why are you asking? Just wondering how you're doing, Leon says, in another message. But Belinda's still talking, and Katie's not listening to her. You think, don't you? Belinda says. Katie has no idea what she was saying. Yeah, Katie says. Really? Belinda says. She sounds happy. I don't know, Katie says. I'm not sure. You're not sure? Belinda says. Katie, are you listening to me? This is important. I know, Belinda. I need to do something. Can I call you back? Why? What do you need to do? Belinda asks. Call you later, Katie says, ending the call. I'm doing fine, thank you, Katie writes. About a minute later, Katie's thinking maybe she needs to write more when she hears the phone ring. It's Leon. You're a lot easier to talk than to write to, he says. I was thinking, do you want to get something together after school tomorrow? A date? Why not, she says. What do you want to do? How about this? You show me around Brenton, and I buy the pizza, yes? If Belinda knows about this, Katie thinks, she's going to be very, very angry. Why not? Katie says. Katie has 2 hours between morning practice and afternoon class, so she goes home at lunchtime to get ready for meeting Leon after school. On the way, Belinda messages her, asking if she can meet for lunch because she really needs to talk. Katie says she can't. She has to do a few things. She is waiting for Belinda to ask what, but she doesn't reply, which is even more worrying. Katie knows she needs to tell Belinda about Leon soon, to make her understand, but she doesn't have time to think about that now. She puts on a new dress and makes sure her hair is right before getting back to class. By the time 5 o'clock comes around, she can't wait to see Leon. After class, she goes to the canteen to get a quick juice and freshen up, then makes her way to the meeting place by the big tree. Just as she's coming out, she hears someone calling her. It's Belinda. Belinda, Katie says, trying to smile. Katie, Belinda says, I want to say sorry. Really? Katie says, for what? For Leon, Belinda says. You like him, don't you? I mean, I like him too, but... That's okay, Katie says. Really, don't worry about it. Really? Belinda says. Of course. I'm so happy you're saying that, Belinda says. Then she notices Katie's clothes and makeup. Wow, you're looking good today. You look like you've got a date or something. Katie goes red. She says. You do have a date, Belinda says. I knew it. Who is it? Tell me. Oh, nobody, Katie says. She finds it hard to speak. Come on, Belinda says. I need some good news. Tell me. Listen, I'm kind of late. He'll wait, Belinda says. You don't want to be on time, right? I know. I can't believe you've got a date and you didn't tell me, Belinda says. What's wrong? Katie wants to say nothing's wrong. It's just I'm going to meet Leon, and that's just how it is, but she can't. Katie, Belinda says, tell me you're not meeting Leon. After a few seconds, Katie says, I can't. I mean, I can't tell you that. You're meeting Leon, Belinda says. I can't believe you. I know it looks strange, Katie says, but you were just saying sorry, right? That was different, she says, thinking about something. Belinda, I'm sorry, but this has to wait, Katie says. Now I see, Belinda says. You told Mike that Leon and I were together. That's right, isn't it? Belinda puts her hand on Katie's arm. That's right, isn't it? Belinda, I need to go. You said to Mike I was with Leon so you can break us up and get him yourself. It wasn't like that. Oh no, Belinda says, pulling at her arm. A few people are watching them. This is bad, Katie thinks. Get off my arm, Belinda. Tell me the truth, Belinda says. Belinda, get off me. Katie pulls her arm back, but Belinda suddenly lets go. The juice goes up out of Katie's hand and comes down all over her new dress. Oh, Belinda says. You, Katie says. She can't get the words out. There is juice all over her dress, her hair, her face. This is so bad, she thinks. What can go wrong next? In answer, someone speaks behind her. What's going on? Leon asks. Tell him, Belinda says. Tell him, or I will. Tell him what? Katie asks. This is all in your mind, Belinda. What's going on here? Leon asks. He's looking at Belinda angrily. It's her, says Belinda. She says to Mike that we were together. Be quiet, Belinda, Katie says. What? Leon says. Why? Because she's jealous. That's why, Belinda says. Jealous of me and you. Me and you? Leon says. There is no me and you. You ask her, Belinda says. Go on, ask her. With all her heart, Katie wants Leon to say no. I'm not going to ask her because I believe her. She wants him to say that, but she knows what Belinda says is true. Is it true, Leon asks, what she's saying? I can't say no. It isn't true, Katie thinks, and he would believe me. She's sure he would. But that means I need to lie to him, and I'm not going to do that. Kind of, yeah, she says. I knew it, Belinda says. I'm sorry, Belinda. I know it was wrong. Leon shook his head. I thought you were my friend, Belinda shouts. Katie remembers Leon next to her, and she's suddenly more embarrassed than she's ever been in her life. She wants to say something, anything, to make everything better. But there isn't anything, so she turns to Leon and says, I'm sorry. I don't know what to think, Leon says. Belinda's right about one thing. You're meant to be friends, right? Maybe you want to check that in the dictionary. Leon, please, Katie says. I'm sorry too, Katie, he replies, turning and walking away. Katie watches him go. She feels cold suddenly, then remembers there's juice all over her. I need to go and clean up, she says. Do you want to go over to the canteen? Belinda asks. Sure, Katie says. They start walking. Sorry I got juice all over you, Belinda says. Sorry about the troubles with Mike, Katie replies. That was bad, Katie. Yeah? Well, what about you going after Leon? I know. I like him as well, Katie. They both think about that, not saying anything. Now what? Belinda says. Friends? Of course friends, Katie says. What about Leon? I don't think he wants to talk to either of us, do you? Katie thinks about the look on his face. I guess not, she says. Maybe it's for the best. Maybe less trouble, Katie says. You know, you're right, Belinda says. You remember only a few days ago you were saying you guys are always trouble. And then this happens. Don't you remember? We were right here when you said it. They were, too. They were just outside the canteen. That's so strange, Katie says. Let's promise, right here and now, from this time on, and I really mean this, I, Katie Burns, will not get into any more trouble with guys. Agreed. She puts out her little finger, and Belinda puts her finger around it to make a promise. Agreed, Belinda says. Good, says Katie, opening the door to the canteen. I really mean it this time.